Hey there, it's Sheryl. Today we're going to talk about 3 tips for you to be world class. In other words, how can you be world class at what's important to you? Now, this is pretty exciting content, and I am super excited to share. Keep in mind, there is a misconception that sometimes we have talent for some things and not another. So we might think that we're either good at math or we're not good at math. We might think that maybe we're good at science or we're not good at science. Or maybe there's a sport or an event that we think that we're good at versus that we're not good at. Now, this misconception is surrounding talent. This is backed by science, so I want you to hear me out because it is so important. Even if some people show some talent as a young person, there is no indication in science that talent has a whole lot to do with becoming an expert. Now, what does that mean? It's so incredible. If you excel at something, it has more to do with your passion and hard work and perseverance and less to do with talent. Now, I'm going to share something with you today that most people don't think about, and also they don't practice this way, and it's incredibly important. So listen up, I'm going to give 3 tips for you to be able to be world class in what is important and also what you want to get done for yourself. This content is based on the work of Anders Ericsson. Now, he has been doing research in the area of deliberate practice. So in other words, you may have heard of the 10,000 hour rule. Well, he did think of it, but he's debunked it a little bit in that it's not just practicing, it's how you practice. And he's done decades and decades of research on something called deliberate practice. So it's not how much you practice, it's how you practice. And I'm going to share 3 tips that are going to help you be world class in what's important to you. Now, here's step 1. The first thing that you need to do is find an expert. Now, this could be a coach, a mentor, or sometimes that gets really expensive. So there's always YouTube, and there's tons of free learning platforms out there as well. Ideally, you'd be able to find an expert, have someone be able to watch you and guide you. Or you can do what you need to do, find something online or find a way to find out how an expert, or find an expert that does something that you want to do in whichever way you can. Again, ideally someone that you can interact with, but if you can't, not a problem. Go ahead, hop onto YouTube. You can learn just about anything there. So step 1, to being able to practice deliberately and to be as amazing as possible, step 1 is to find an expert. Now, step 2 is to create mental representations. Now, you might be thinking, what on earth is that? So it's not complicated. So let me explain real quickly. Here's kind of a funny example. If I say the word cat to you, you might think of, okay, furry, 4-legged, cute, small. So you have a mental representation of a cat. Not everyone around the world has ever seen a cat. So if you have a mental representation of it, the second that you say it, you have something in your mind. It's kind of like a picture. So keep in mind, once you have found an expert, the second step is to create a mental representation. So just like you know what a cat is, what it looks like, you need to understand the most important things that you need to practice to get better and find out how the best of the best does it and create a mental representation of that. Now, let me explain or give you an example that doesn't have to do with animals. Let's make it more real life. Let's say you are a swimmer and you swim the 100 freestyle. And the number 1 most important thing for you to drop time is going to be pull more water. You would then go to your coach, go to a mentor, go to an expert, look online how an Olympian pulls water, figure out the best way to pull water, and then you need to create a mental representation of it. In other words, an image of it in your mind. Exactly how do you do it? So in other words, first, find the expert, then create a mental representation of how an expert would do it. And then the third thing, and this may seem a little obvious, but I'm going to tell you anyway, the third thing is to practice it. So get in the pool and practice this mental representation that you have learned, how an expert would pull water, and you do it. Now, ideally, you would do it, have someone watch you, make a correction, and then practice again. Now, if you don't have access to a coach or mentor or someone to keep an eye on you for either swimming or anything else that you're doing, it may be at work, it could be anywhere. Ideally, someone would be tracking you. You would learn a mental representation, then you would practice it, have someone watch you, and then practice it again and try and get better. Now, if you don't have someone working directly with you, then you're going to have to do this self-monitoring on your own. So in other words, you'd figure out the best way to do something, whichever way you can. You create a mental representation for it, then you would try and do it, and then once you've done it, then you need to make an adjustment to do it better and repeat. So I hope that makes sense. Again, this is based on decades and decades of research. If you practice and practice deliberately over the long haul and you're, persistent, then you are much more likely to be world class in what's important to you. I hope you have found this content useful. Please do share if you know of anyone else who would find it useful as well. Keep your eyes open for the Mental Toughness Challenge. It's going to be produced and coming out soon. Here's to you being amazing. I look forward to hearing from you or possibly even seeing you if you reach out to me. Again, here's to you being amazing. I look forward to being in touch.